Hey, welcome to my channel. I'm Siona from the Hooked on Crochet Club and I love a granny square. And today I want to share some inspiration for how to make a top from granny squares. So this one I've made using a square from the Hooked on Crochet Club library. So this one is called the Nothing to See Here Granny because as you can see there are no gaps in this one, which is partly why I designed it, so that I had one that, because sometimes that's the letdown with some of the squares, is they've got the holes at least in the corner, which can makes for a lovely pattern on a top, but you might not necessarily want that. So this one is totally solid. So I've made it in cotton. This is from a Fiddlesticks Finch. Sorry, that sounds like a tongue twister. So it's a lovely thick cotton, probably thicker than I would normally choose for a top. So you could do this in any, like cotton will make it lovely, especially if you want it as a summer or even winter top. It'll keep it nice and warm. Any range of colours. I prefer these warm muted colors. That's what's in my color palette because I have had my colors done, so this is what's going to work best with my skin tone. But you could choose any colors that you want, and you don't have to necessarily make it a square in a round. You could even do swatches, like I'm making another one right now and I'm just working it in rows. This one's going to be a different style though, so there'll be a review for that one at some point. So anyway, so I've made the squares, so you can make them to any size that you prefer. I've done these as the normal 5 round. That's my standard number of rounds for a square. And I've made enough here. So this is 5 by 4. So I've got 2 pieces essentially. I like the random placement. You could do a checkerboard placement. You could do it angled, decide on for yourself. Like a simple repeat pattern, but I've joined these. So I've made the squares, decided on the size, and then I've joined them. So if you can see, I've done right sides together and I've sewn them together to try to get that flat join on the inside, but it's almost like an invisible join. Well, it is an invisible join on the top, so the only space that you're going to see it is in the corners where they overlap. So when I've joined them in rows, and then I've joined the columns together. Okay, so I've joined all in one direction, then joined all in the other direction. So I've joined 2, and then when I've joined the 2 pieces together, I've left enough space there for a neckband and enough space on the sides for your armband. So don't forget to leave those, or you're turning it into a bag instead of a top. Where you do that is entirely on the size that you're making. You can measure it out beforehand, but just make sure that your head is going to fit through, or the person that you're making it for, the head's going to fit through. And the arms, if you're not sure, you could get just a top that you've got in your wardrobe and just lay that against it as a size. And you can even do that to figure out what size squares you're going to make. You will get some stretch in it, but you don't want it to be overly stretched when you're doing it. Okay, so once I've joined the sides I did actually use a single crochet just to give them a bit more. Yep, there's an end I haven't woven in. Always find one. So I've used single crochet to join the sides just to give it a bit more strength. And then the board, like the neck, so I always start at the neck, then I move to the armholes, then I move to the band on the bottom, just to make sure that I've got enough of everything. I'd rather have less on the bottom if I didn't have enough. So here I've done a round of single crochet, which is UK double crochet, a round just to neaten and even up the edges, and then I've done a round of double crochet, and then I've alternated with front and back post. That's my preferred way to get a ribbing effect, is front post, back post, alternating, and then you just make sure that you're always working a front post on a front post and a back post on a back post. And then this one I have finished it off with a round of single crochet on the edge. So this one only had 2 rounds there, so one of the double crochet and then one of the alternating back post. The arms I've done exactly the same, so a round of single crochet, but this one I've actually got looks like 3 rows or 3 rounds of the back and front post. I wanted it a little bit thicker on the arms. I did tend to gather as well. Okay, so you can, I don't know how well you can see, but in the second round when I started to do the back post ones, I actually did around 2 double crochets together, so it reduces the size of so the band is actually gathering it up a little bit. So the front post I've just worked around the 1 stitch, but the back post I've worked around 2 as a simple way to decrease, and I've done that on both arms. And then the bottom I've just done exactly the same. I've just done more until I essentially ran out of the pink. So from memory I used, it might have been 2 balls of pink for all the band. So it was 1 for the neck and the arms and some of this, and then the second one I just kept going until I basically finished. So there's a lot more rounds. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds probably, and then a round of single crochet on that. But yeah, so this one, obviously I'm not modeling it, but it sits at around my belly button length. So I generally wear these over a longer shirt or a longer singlet. That's the style that I prefer. If you wanted a longer length, by all means just add more. That's the simple thing. This is why I love to design with squares, because they're a lot more versatile. You can adjust the length and the width just by adding more squares, making the squares different sizes. But yeah, and there's no true front or back, so if you've got a preference, you can generally have a different top each time you wear it, or if you've got a preference, this one here is my preference. I didn't want the white quite so obvious, so this will be the front for me. It's square, but you'll find that when you wear these style tops, they do take on your shape when you put it on, so there's no issue with it being square. So perfect design because you don't have to do any shaping. If you did want to create more of a neckline, you could omit some of the squares and work on a neckline that way instead. So you can like skip the middle one, and then I'd probably skip those 3. Just make sure it still sits on your shoulders, and then you could make it. So imagine that those ones are missing. This neckline would then be all around there. But I've done other tops in that style. I just wanted this style. So anyway, there you go. If you love a granny square, if you love to have a library of granny squares, then consider joining the Hooked on Crochet Club, because I have a new one out every month, and we're at almost 6 years of granny squares. So you can do the math for that. What is that like? That's too much math. Like 60 squares, all 5 rounds, a lot to choose and decide from for creating all sorts of things. So anyway, there's your inspiration for this month. I look forward to you joining me. Subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I hope you enjoy.